Welcome back everybody, Matt the Matt here. So, this is going to be an interesting video today. I wanted to pick a certain topic and actually discuss it more than, just doing a quick little video of it. I don't know. So, this week I went back and watched the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Well, most of them. 4 out of the 5. I think the 4th one is just bad all around. So I skipped that one and went 1, 2, 3, 5. And I mean, like most people my age, saw the first Pirates of the Caribbean in theaters. And then we got the second and third one only about 8 months apart, 9 months apart. They shot them back to back. And then they came out 2006, 2007. I saw the first Pirates twice in theaters, second one twice in theaters. Saw the third one opening day right after school. It was literally the last day of school, Memorial Day weekend. We got out that Friday, and we got picked up. One of the parents of my friends and I picked us up, dropped us off at the theater. We had our book bags and everything, backpacks on, and we watched the movie, and then obviously went home. And then the 4th one came out when I was in college. Saw that down in Savannah. Then the 5th one came out. Just when you realize that the 5th Pirates of the Caribbean movie came out, it will be 5 years this Memorial Day weekend. So just in a couple weeks, we'll already be hitting the 5-year anniversary of the last Pirates of the Caribbean movie that came out. Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. I think that's a little crazy. I think it's already been 5 years, and we haven't gotten another movie. If you remember back in 2020, around June, and that's another thing, it will be almost 2 years in June since we heard any news on Pirates of the Caribbean. And the news, I remember I was in this living room, and I pulled my phone out, and I saw a news popped up that Disney is looking at doing a spin-off in the Pirates of the Caribbean universe, starring Margot Robbie and possibly Karen Gillian from who plays Nebula in Guardians of the Galaxy. I thought, that's interesting. So one report said that Margot Robbie's movie would be a spin-off, while someone said that Karen Gillian movie would actually be Pirate 6 in the Johnny Depp universe, or in his story universe. And we haven't heard anything in going on 2 years. Yes, of course, right, a lot of it has to do with Johnny Depp. We're going to talk about that right now. That I don't know about you, but I've been watching the trial with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Very interesting. Very interesting. No offense, but I think the whole Me Too movement is really about to backfire on a whole lot of people. A whole lot of people are going to be in a world of hurt from that whole Me Too movement that happened back in like 2016, 2017, 2018. And one thing to go after Harvey Weinstein is another thing to just come out and accuse someone of stuff that never actually happened, just to be one of the people that, me too, me too, me too. And as we're seeing with Amber Heard, it was actually the other way around. It wasn't Johnny doing all this stuff. It was Amber Heard doing all this stuff and saying, me too, Johnny did this, Johnny did that. And what happened? Nobody looked into it at the time. No one looked into anything when these people came out and said, so-and-so male actor did this to me, with no evidence. They just said, okay, you're fired, okay, you're fired, okay, you're fired. And Johnny Depp was one of those people that Disney, just like with the James Gunn situation, another Disney, on the payroll. He had some tweets that came out, and that were from like 10 years ago, and Disney finally got around to him in the whole Me Too and you can't say that, this, that, or whatever. They right away fired James Gunn. I don't think we know that James Gunn is back doing Guardians 3. That comes out in a year from now. But he was fired right away. And that's what they did with Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp literally had no time to say anything. Amber Heard accused Johnny Depp of all this stuff. And it was right around the 5th Pirates movie came out. And that was it. Disney said, okay, you're fired. No more Pirates of the Caribbean for you. And it was like, you do realize you fired your star of your entire franchise. This entire franchise doesn't work without Johnny Depp. I mean, even the last two movies, not as good as the original trilogy, but they made money because people wanted to see Johnny Depp back as Jack Sparrow. You fire Johnny Depp, you don't have a franchise anymore. Yes, we all love Margot Robbie. Margot Robbie is not Johnny Depp. I'm sorry. She might be hot. She might be gorgeous. She's not Johnny Depp. And Karen Gillian, she hasn't done much. I mean, she's done a lot. But she's not even on the Margot Robbie level. I mean, so you got one actor, and now, and yes, we hear Johnny Depp in the court saying he would never come back down to Pirates of the Caribbean, even if they offer him $300 million. I'm glad that Johnny Depp said that, but I'm going to tell you right now, that's a load of bullshit. I mean, guess what? When this whole trial and all this shit is over with, and all the money that Johnny Depp has lost because of court and lawyers and missing out on so many other things, he's going to want that $300 million. Trust me. He's going to want that $300 million. I don't know who wouldn't want $300 million just to go and act in a movie for a couple months. But the point of the matter is not even about getting Johnny Depp back. It's also about what are you going to do with this pirate franchise? The franchise that literally ruled the 2000s. This franchise was one of the biggest franchises in Hollywood. You couldn't say the word Pirates of the Caribbean and everyone knew who you were talking about. What you were talking about. I mean, these movies were bigger than Marvel movies in the 2000s. They were bigger than the X-Men movies. They were bigger than the Spider-Man movies. They were bigger than Batman. They were the king for Disney. I mean, you would almost say they were maybe even higher level than their Pixar films at the time. So, you had this original trilogy done by the great Gore Verbinski, who did all three of the original films. He brought this unique weirdness to him. You had Keira Knightley, you had Orlando Bloom, you had the trio, as they say. It all worked. You had a lot of practical stuff, you had a lot of on actual locations, in the Bahamas, on the water, Whatever you think about the second and third Pirates, I think the second one is very underrated. I think it's actually a great sequel. The third one also is still very entertaining. It still has a lot of good stuff in it. It was way almost a 3-hour movie. Didn't need to be. A lot of backstabbing, crossing this person, crossing that person. A little too much for a Disney film still. And like I said, almost a 3-hour movie. I would say now we don't care about 3-hour movies because we can go and watch Avengers Endgame that is over 3 hours. A lot of the recent Marvel movies have been like 2.5, almost 3 hours. So, but we live in a different time than back then, where streaming wasn't as popular in 2007. But so you had the original trio, you had a director that knew what he was doing, who knew this world, and then they ended the trilogy, made money, really wrapped up each character great, and then it was like, okay, now what? So then they waited about 4 years, which on one hand I say maybe that was a little too long, but then on another hand I say, well, if you're going to start a new trilogy, you needed that time to figure out, okay, what are we going to do now? Keira Knightley doesn't want to come back. She's set for life practically with the first 3 Pirates movies. She's doing all these independent films now, just like a lot of actors do, like Kristen Stewart, Robert Pattinson, even Joaquin Phoenix. They do a big blockbuster, and then they're like, I want to go smaller now. Even Shia LaBeouf, Transformers, and then he hasn't done a real blockbuster since Transformers. And that's what a lot of actors do. They're like, here, I'll do the big movie first to get my name out there, to get clout, and then be able to choose what I want to do, have the money I want to have, and pick and choose what I want. So Keira Knightley's like, okay, I'm done. Orlando Bloom, I think, thought he was going to be like, between Lord of the Rings and Pirates of the Caribbean, like, oh yeah, I'm set, I can get anything I want now. He's set money-wise, yeah. If Orlando Bloom wanted to retire after Pirates 3, he probably could have, between Lord of the Rings and Pirates. But, he did some small stuff, Elizabethtown, Kingdom of Heaven, but that was a small, but it wasn't a franchise. And a lot of those movies did not work out for him. Most of them didn't work out for him. All of them. And I don't mean critically, I just mean money-wise. Most of the movies that Orlando Bloom did after Pirates all bombed at the box office. So what did Orlando Bloom do? He jumped on the Lord of the Rings train and was in the last 2 Hobbit films. Hey, why not? Make that money, right? Make that money. So Disney was truly out at a crossroads of what are we going to do? We're not going to bring back the original trio. We still got Johnny Depp. We have to have Johnny Depp. So they decided to do this 4th one, Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. And brought in Blackbeard, brought in Penelope Cruz, who already worked with Johnny Depp in the movie Blow. Well, I have to say, watching this trial, it is the dumbest thing I've ever heard when the court is like, and everyone's like baffled that Johnny Depp does drugs. He does drugs and a lot of powder stuff. He does powder. He gets that white powder and snorts it, you know what I mean? And everyone's like surprised by this. I'm like, haven't you seen the movie Blow? He did a movie called Blow. And all he does is blow powder the entire movie. I mean, hello? The movie was made for Johnny Depp. I mean, I watched that in the drama and I'm like, have they not watched his movies by now? Have they not? Donnie Darko, he goes on an undercover cop with drugs and everything. I mean, Black Mass. I mean, have you not watched Johnny Depp films? You do drugs? Come on now. I mean, and there's nothing wrong. Let me rephrase that. Guess what? He's an actor, he's in Hollywood. There's a lot of actors out there that do stuff that we do not know about. I mean, I didn't even know he was great friends with Paul Bettany. I'm like, My second favorite actor in Hollywood is Johnny Depp. I own almost all his movies. Okay? I did not know that Johnny Depp, one of his best friends, was Paul Bettany. Paul Bettany, the guy who plays Vision in Marvel, he's in A Knight's Tale, A Beautiful Mind, is my roommate, Dick. I still love that line. Married to Jennifer Connelly. I didn't know he was best friends with Paul Bettany. When married Paul Bettany also does some stuff with Johnny Depp. So, who cares? He's a great actor. He's a great human being. He talked to Winona Ryder, he talked to his ex-wife. No problems with Johnny Depp when it comes to violence, drugs, or anything. Funny. But anyway, so they got it, and then they brought in Penelope Cruz. And then they got Rob Marshall to direct. Now, I don't have a problem with Rob Marshall. I have a problem with Rob Marshall because he's never done an action movie on this scale before. He's a musical guy. He did Chicago. He did Rent. He mainly does musicals. And guess what? The fourth Pirates of the Caribbean is somehow that movie was cost over $400 million. But it looks like it was all done on a soundstage. Don't ask me how. He got over a $400 million budget. Even more than the last two Pirates of the Caribbean movies. And it was a bad movie. Then they brought in two directors to do the fifth movie. And then they brought in Javier Bardem to play the villain. Jeffrey Rush, obviously back in the fourth and fifth movie. And then they brought in this new character, Karina. And played by Kaya Scodelario, who was actually a really good character, like the best character. So as a new character since the original trilogy. And she is signed on for another film in her contract. So, and I'm going to get to that. So, either the fifth movie is better than the fourth, but even going back and watching it, it still is missing something from the original trilogy. And even in the marketing, I remember at CinemaCon in 2016, or 2016, and they announced, oh yeah, Orlando Bloom is returning to the pirate franchise. It's Will Turner. And he's only in 2 scenes in that pirate film. Opening and closing. Then I remember the TV spot showed Keira Knightley. So it made everyone think, oh yeah, we're going to have Johnny Depp, Orlando Bloom, Keira Knightley, the original 3 all back together. No. It was all a smokescreen. And like I said, the fifth one is fine, but it's missing the dark. One thing I've learned, and now this is where I'm going to get into what they need to do with another pirate film. What do they need to do to get the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise back on track? Number 1, they need to stop waiting so long to make a sequel. Once again, you strike when the iron is hot. If you have a franchise that is in hot demand, you don't wait so long to make the sequel. Now, I don't say you rush out a sequel and a year later, but you don't take forever to make a sequel. For instance, once again, when you go back to the first 3 Pirates of the Caribbean, first one came out in 2003. That was a huge success, and they greenlit 2 films back to back to shoot at the same time and released only less than a year apart. We got Dead Man's Chest in July of 2006. And then we got At World's End in May of 2007. Okay? Then, we waited 4 years till 2011, of May of 2011, to hit On Stranger Tides, the fourth one. Right there, that was already 4 years of a gap. Now, like I've already said, waiting 4 years is okay when they're trying to figure out what are you going to do now to start a new trilogy. You gotta plan it out, you gotta write the scripts, you gotta, see what actors are going to come back, what not, find a new director, shoot the movie, edit the movie, market the movie. It takes time. So, okay, we waited 4 years between 3 and 4. Then after 4, we waited 6 years. That's right. 6 years from May of 2011 to May of 2017 to get a 5th one. Now, the 4th one made a lot of money. The 4th one, I think, made $1 million. So why it took over 6 years to make a sequel on a franchise that is still very, very strong? Is baffling. But you know what? It's not baffling. Because like I said, the 4th one came out in 2011. A year later, we got a certain Marvel movie called The Avengers in 2012. And then after that, that was it. Disney knew one thing and one thing only. Marvel, Marvel, Marvel. I just did a video on the 10th anniversary of The Avengers saying, from the time The Avengers movie came out, and now 10 years later, we're on number 28, Doctor Strange 2 is number 28th Marvel movie. And Avengers was number 6. Look how many Marvel movies we have had in the past 10 years. Now to put that in perspective, people, in the 10 years between the 3rd Pirates to the 5th Pirates, we've had 2 movies. You see where I'm at now? In those 10 years, we got 2 movies. In 10 years between the first Transformers to the one that came out in 2017, the last Transformers movie that came out in 2017, in that 10 years, we had 5 Transformers movies. Now going on 15 years. 5 years since the last Pirates movie. 15 years since the 3rd one came out. We've had 2 movies. Pirates movies. Like I said, we are going on 5 years since the last Pirate movie. And still, it's not like they've announced a release date. It's not like they've already started filming. We could be looking at another 6 to 7, probably 7 years till we get another pirate movie. And that's if this trial goes well. They find a way to get Johnny Depp back. They write a script. I think they do have a script. I think they do. Because they were all gung-ho about shooting the next one right after the 5th one. And then the whole Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing happened. But we're still probably about 2 years away. That means 7 years till we get the next Pirates film. 7 years. 7 years with the Dolphin. That's a long time. That's a long time for any franchise to try and stay hot. But that's the biggest problem. The way they have put these Pirates movies out has taken way too long. But when you're only focused on Marvel and Star Wars, and forget about the franchise that made you billions of dollars in the 2000s, that'll do it. They need to go back to another point. They need to go back to a darker tone. Go back and watch those first 3 Pirates movies. They're dark. And I don't mean like cinematography, I mean like tone and just more mature. You still get the entertainment, you still get the humor, but they're darker films than the fourth and fifth one. And I think that's what they need. They need to go back to a darker feel. These are pirates, you know. No, that's another thing. Go back to a darker feel like the first three. The fourth one was boring and not dark at all. The fifth one, they tried to be lighter. I guess, I don't know why, but you need to go back to a darker tone. Another problem. Yeah, now I don't know if it's the writing, I don't know what it is. But the fifth Pirates film, the biggest problem with that movie was Jack Sparrow. Now I don't know if it was Johnny Depp not giving a shit, I don't think it was. Because he was going to come back and do another one, and he was even going to help write the script and give Jack a real true send-off to the character. So I don't think if he didn't care anymore, he wouldn't come back and do another one. I think the writing was so... The new writers on the fifth one didn't know how to write Jack Sparrow, because he was either drunk the entire movie or acting like a true clown the entire movie. A cartoon. And we like Jack Sparrow being, you know, the fun, drunk uncle, if you will. But the great thing about the first three pirates is he was still very smart. He still had heart. He still did take things seriously when he needed to. And also, the number one thing that has been the problem in these last two pirates, Jack Sparrow is not the main character. Jack Sparrow should not be the main character. If you go back and watch the original trilogy, people, and I mean each first one, second one, and third one, guess what? When you watch those movies, they do not introduce Jack Sparrow as the first character you see on screen. They do not introduce Jack Sparrow as the second character you see on screen. They introduce Jack Sparrow as the third character. And they do that in every film in the original trilogy. The first movie, we get Elizabeth Swann first. Then we get Will Turner as kids. Then when we go into the present day, we get introduced to Elizabeth Turner, Keira Knightley. Then we get introduced to Will Turner, Orlando Bloom. And then we get introduced to Jack Sparrow, Johnny Depp. The second film, who do we open with? Actually, even the end of the first movie, you wrap up Keira Knightley, Orlando Bloom, and then the final shot, Jack Sparrow on the Black Pearl. Open the second movie. And you open up with, who do we open up with? Keira Knightley, once again. Then who? Orlando Bloom. And then who do we open with? Jack Sparrow. Third movie, once again, Keira Knightley. Then Orlando Bloom. And then 30 minutes later into the movie, Jack Sparrow. You see where I'm getting at? You do not make Jack the main character. That would be like what they've done before with Hannibal Lecter. Hannibal Lecter was a secondary character in The Silence of the Lambs. Then they did Hannibal, the sequel. And they made him the main character. It didn't work. Then they did Red Dragon and realized we need to go back and make him the secondary character. Or third character. And it worked better. You know? That's what they need to do with Jack Sparrow. Go back and make him the third character in the trio. And make him be Jack Sparrow again. Not just drunk fun uncle. Make him a true character that is well-rounded. What else? Oh yeah, back to that. On the whole, Keira Knightley, Orlando Bloom, Johnny Depp. The key to making another pirate film is going to be bringing back the original trio in a full movie. Not in a one scene here, one scene there. Okay, you got your characters back. No, you're not going to pull a Star Wars. realm, or in the time of legacy sequels. You know, we had Creed. We had Jurassic. We're gonna have Jurassic World with Laura Dern, Sam Neill, Jeff Goldblum returning in Jurassic World Dominion ever since the original. And I think that's going to be the key for pirates to be like, that's how you do it right. Top Gun Maverick is coming out. You got, I think, a legacy sequel that apparently is getting great reviews. You got Tom Cruise back, Val Kilmer. I'm sure there's going to be other surprises. But I was in Halloween, you brought back Jamie Lee Curtis. The last Halloween, you had Jamie Lee Curtis. The little girl from the original, the same actress came back. The same nurse from the original came back. Legacy characters, legacy actors of these characters returning. That's what they need to do with Pirates. You need to bring back the original three in a full movie on an adventure and truly wrap it up if you want. Or have them in there, kind of like Jurassic World is going to do. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I do know that Laura Dern, Sam Neill, and Jeff Goldblum are going to be a main part of this third Jurassic World movie. They're going to be in the entire movie, along with Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard. Okay? So you need to bring back the original trio. If you go to CinemaCon and you announce and you bring out Johnny Depp, Keira Knightley, and Orlando Bloom for Pirate 6, the entire room of however many, 4,000 people, 5,000 people, are going to explode. That's what you need to do. Now, capitalize on the legacy sequel. Another thing, I said one of the best parts of The Last Pirates was Corina Barbosa, played by Kaya Scodelario. They need to bring her back. She's contracted for one more movie. They need to bring her back and have her become a pirate like her father and go from there. That way, if you want to continue to do more pirates and finally leave the original three behind, you now have an actress that has been in one movie already, going to be in this new one, and maybe can carry the franchise forward. She was in the Maze Runner movies. She was in that Resident Evil movie that wasn't good last year. Not her fault. She was in the movie Crawl. She's a very good actress. Another thing, I think they need to recast Henry Turner. The actor that played Henry Turner in Pirates 5. I wasn't too big on him. He was kind of boring. No personality or anything. I would think, if I were to recast that character, I would go with Dylan O'Brien. He's a very good actor. He's around that age. He looks a lot like Orlando Bloom, so he can pass off being their son. Also, he's already worked with Kaya Scodelario in the Maze Runner movies. They had actually a chemistry, love interest. So they do have chemistry. So if they're still together in the next pirate movie, I would recast the role. But overall, once again, this is a franchise that was on the top of Hollywood. It shouldn't take down pirates. It reinvigorated the whole pirate franchise that was practically dead for decades. And it'd be sad to just see this franchise go away when there's so much you can do. This is a universe of world building at your fingertips. You can come up with anything you want. It's original. Yes, it's based off a ride, but that ride had nothing to do with the characters that they came up with originally. You have an entire ocean to figure something out. The post-credit scene had Davy Jones returning. Even though Davy Jones to me was the best villain in the franchise so far, there has to be something else you can come up with. Something original villain that would work. So, that's how I feel about the Pirate franchise. I'm a fan of this franchise. I've been a fan. Seen all the movies. Had a movie poster of the third one hanging in my room at one point. This is a franchise that I enjoy going back to every year, especially around the summertime, because of, the beach, pirates, water, boats. Why not? Rum. Where's the rum? It's fun, it's quotable. It really reinvigorated Johnny Depp's career. So it would be kind of sad to see it end his career. I don't know, that would be a weird, it started reinvigorating your career, but somehow ended your career. But yeah, that's my thoughts on how to maybe get the Pirate franchise back up and running. Yeah, maybe even bring back Gore Verbinski as director. He hasn't done one since 2007. He's worked with Johnny Depp on The Lone Ranger. Maybe Johnny Depp will be like, I'll come back and do it if you get Gore Verbinski to direct it. That would be a great deal. Anyway, those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts on how to get the Pirate franchise back on track? Do you want another pirate movie? Do you want Johnny Depp? Do you want the original trio? You tell me in the comments below. Like and subscribe.